Cool.
Okay, I'm going to suggest that we get started as it's 10:05 and we respect everyone's time here. So I am Noah Chessis. I serve as the rabbi at the Young Israel, which is sponsoring or the charter organization for this potential Cub Scout unit. And as I mentioned over the email, I personally have a lot of nostalgia for my participation in scouting as a child, and have put many of those life skills to use here in Sharon as a rabbi. Working the Eruv and fixing the knots that I learned came into handy in a way that I never imagined. And also just some of the handiness and the craftsmanship that I learned while scouting has yielded a lot of wonderful backyard projects, our tree house and other fun things, a fire pit, which we use regularly. So I'm hoping that we can come together to figure out what we need to do to get a pack started here in Sharon. I'm really excited to partner with Dave, who is the unit commissioner with the Mayflower Council, for the town of Sharon. And he's been really persistent in restarting or a unit for the Jewish community here in town. So I'm going to pass things over to you, Dave.
Excellent. All right. Good morning, everybody. As Rabbi said, my name's Dave Barnett. I am the unit commissioner for the town of Sharon, and I'll explain that a little bit more about me, what I do, and trying to, as the rabbi said, to try to start another Jewish unit here in town. Before we get started, I want to do something a little different. As I kind of said earlier, Cub Scouting is a family activity. And with that in mind, I know it's Sunday morning, some of us may not be wide awake. We're going to do a little activity to kind of, as a little bit as an icebreaker, but also for another reason as well. I realize everybody's probably sitting at a desk or a table, but do me a favor, step back from your desk or your table. I'm actually going to stand up so everyone can see me. Hopefully everyone can see me. And what we're going to do is I'm going to share with you one of the very first experiences, one of the very first memories I had as a Cub Scout going back almost 40 plus years ago. All right, what I want you to do, you're gonna take your hands and you're just gonna clap your, put them on, no, just clap on your thighs. And you're gonna repeat everything I'm gonna say and gonna do. We're gonna go on a lion hunt. So is everybody ready? And oh, by the way, I see a lot of people muted. Please unmute yourselves. This is a interactive activity. So I want to hear everybody joining. Oh, I still see some people not still muted. Let's go. Everybody unmute, please.
I guess you want to.
Come on. I don't want to start mentioning names, but I will. All right. Everybody ready?
Yeah.
Go on a line hunt.
Yeah.
Going on a line hunt.
Going on a line.
Thank you. I'm not afraid.
I'm not afraid.
All right. Oh, look.
Oh, look.
Over there.
There.
What do I see?
What do I see?
Trees.
Trees.
Tall trees.
All trees.
Can't go around it.
Can't go around it.
Gotta go through it.
Gotta go through it.
Going on a line hunt.
On a line hunt.
I'm not afraid.
I'm not afraid.
Oh, look.
Oh, look.
Over there.
Over there.
What do I see?
What do I see?
A lake.
A lake.
Lake.
Can't go around it.
Can't
go around
it.
Can't go over it.
Can't go over it.
Gotta swim through it.
That's
Swim right through it.
Swim right through it.
Turn right through it.
Okay. Going on a line hunt.
Going on a
line
Line
hunt.
hunt.
I'm not afraid.
I'm not
I'm not
afraid.
afraid.
Look over there.
Look over there.
There.
What do I see?
What do I see?
A cave.
A cave.
Okay.
Dark cave.
Dark cave.
Okay.
I see eyes.
I see eyes.
Yellow eyes.
Yellow eyes.
Yellow eyes. Bright yellow eyes, everybody.
Bright
yellow eyes.
Lion's eyes.
Lion's
eyes.
Ooh, Dave. Okay. All right, everybody. No, we're done. It's a little late. All right. Excellent, everybody. You know, and like I said, that was the very first thing I learned I did as a Cub Scout. And in fact, I still remember the gentleman's name. His name was Al Hopper, who made a big difference in my life and influencing my family and myself to get involved in scouting. As the rabbi said, my name's Dave Barnett. I am the unit commissioner for the town of Sharon. I am no stranger to scouting. Besides being an Eagle Scout, I have been very active since I was 8 years old, participating in different activities, both on the local level and on the national level as well. For the past couple of years, I have been the unit commissioner for the town of Sharon. Now, what does that term mean? My job as a unit commissioner is actually, there's a couple roles I do. One, overall, my job is to make a unit succeed, to work with them. I also act as a messenger between the unit and the district and the council, which I'll explain more about that later on. But also as a resource, if a unit has a problem, they don't know where to go to, they could come to me and for help. And if they don't know the help or what the answer is, I keep going up the chain of command. So in the screen next to me is Rob. Rob is our district commissioner. He's my boss, for lack of better terms. Sorry, Rob. And if he doesn't know the answers, we keep going up the chain. So basically, you're not alone. And we'll talk more about that later on. As the rabbi said, I have been persistent in trying to get another unit, Jewish unit here in Sharon. When I came into, when I took on the role a couple years ago, I told the professional staff member at the time, and I'll still say it right now, that I have a hard time believing, for lack of better terms, that in one of the most Jewish communities in Sharon, or I'm sorry, in Massachusetts, that we don't currently have a Jewish unit. Now I realize, yes, there was a troop over at Young Israel, but that disbanded a couple of years ago, if I remember correctly, Steve.
We're Temple Israel. We started off at way back when, 30 odd years ago, we started off in Sharon at the JCC at the time. Moved to Stoughton when the JCC moved there. Then when Stoughton became a Y, I actually couldn't conscience having a religious Jewish troop, an Orthodox Jewish troop at a YMCA. So we moved to the Schechter in Norwood. And then when they closed down, we moved to Temple Israel. And that's where we ended up floundering totally because we couldn't get anybody to join us. So here we are.
Exactly. So just so everybody's aware, there is another Cub Scout pack here in Sharon. And there are two troops here in Sharon. One troop is an all-girls troop, but the other troop is very active as well. So again, we're just trying to recreate or reestablish a strong Jewish scout unit here in town. With that in mind, I'm going to actually, hopefully this will work, do a quick presentation for you. And bear with me for 1 second. Come on. Whoops. Okay. So again, we're going to talk about trying to establish a Cub Scout pack here in town. And first of all, I want to thank Rabbi Young Israel, who is willing to sponsor this sponsor the unit. It's not easy for any organization who's willing to take on the role of being a charter organization. And it's been a challenge, to be perfectly honest with you. And again, Rabbi, I cannot thank you and Michael enough for stepping up and taking on the role of being a charter organization. I see that there's a lot of different families on here. There was about, I'm going to say, like over 25 families that were interested in today. in trying to start up this unit. So I appreciate it. So we have Rob here. Another gentleman that's going to be joining us is Dave Darian, who's our district chairman. I'll explain their positions later on in the presentation. So why Cub Scouting? Well, let me back up a little bit, because a lot of people think, oh, the Boy Scouts of America, Scouts USA, okay. They don't understand that, for lack of better terms, the Boy Scouts of America is I'll say, the parent corporation or the name of various programs that they have for youth and based on their ages. Cub Scouting is the program that is available for children from ages 5, basically kindergarten, up to 5th grade. So why Cub Scouting? There's a couple different reasons why. One, it helps with character development, spiritual growth, good citizenship, family understanding, because Cub Scouting is family oriented. Personal achievement, and as you can see down, where is it? Down here, these are the different ranks that a child can earn through different activities and doing different skills. They learn team building and new friends, but also doing activities outdoors as well. So again, why Cub Scouting? And Rabbi, you made the comment, trying to get your child away from, the screen. Yeah, that's hard, especially right now with COVID going on. A lot of children are learning or going through school while in front of a computer, in front of an iPad, or maybe they're sitting at home when they're not in front of a computer screen, but sitting in front of a TV. And we all know that's not healthy. No, they were probably doing that before COVID hit, but now with COVID, they're in front of a computer, in front of a TV screen. As we were doing the line hunts, the reason why I was laughing is my 7-year-old daughter, Emily, was right next to me. I thought she was going to join us, but she's doing remote as well. And so she's in front of that TV, in front of that computer all the time. So we're trying to make it more healthier for them in the long run. Again, team building and make it more physically, environmentally friendly for them. The Cub Scout program, as I said, is broken into different groups based on their ages. The first group, starting off with the kindergartens, 5 years old, is called a Lion's Den. Now, each group is called a den, which consists of 5 to 6 children, along with their parents. And it's an introduction for them into the scouting program. And with that, it allows the families to build stronger ties to one another, as well as starting to become accustomed to what scouting is. The next level up, for lack of terms, is the 1st grade program. That is the Tiger Cub Den, where they are meeting weekly or every other week and doing various activities, some family activities, and also activities together as a group. The Wolf Den, here we're talking about children in 2nd grade, where they are teaching simple skills and how to initiate family discussion on certain things. And that's based upon for each individual family. The 3rd grade dens, those are the bear dens. And here they're working on what is called achievements to earn that bear badge. Again, they're still working on simple skills and promote interest around the world in the scouting movement. There we go. Okay, Weeblo's Den. The Weeblo's Den involves scouts in grades 4 through 5. They work on requirements for the Weeblo's badge. And then to earn this award, this is the Arrow of Light. This is the highest award a Cub Scout can earn.
Dave, can you give us some examples of the skills that are being learned along these different stages?
Excuse me. Yeah. Some basic citizenship, like every morning, I'm sure every child's doing this or could be doing this. You're saying the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. Okay, what do those words actually mean? Some very basic first aid skills. You see someone bleeding, well, the easiest, the simplest way to take care of that is just some direct pressure. We're not at that point going into, at least for the Cub Scout, or let me phrase it, not in the Lions program, but for more like the Weebles program, dealing with, say, going out camping or working with knives. We're not doing that right now at the Lions program, but those are some of the activities that a child can progress to learn as they get older. Some of the other activities that they're going to be doing, as I have on the slide, is right up here, the Pinewood Derby. And this is an activity which I know I remember doing when I was a Cub Scout, where you get a box almost like this one, even though this is saying the Space Derby kit. You get a piece of wood about maybe yay big. It's a square block of wood with some black plastic wheels, and you make a Pinewood Derby cart. And I'll be honest with you, I don't know who has more fun with this, the scouts or the adults. And as you can see in the picture, both the scouts and the adults are having fun with it. At the same time, you also have the regalia race. It's a water bait where they make a boat and they race it. Excuse me. Another activity is the Space Derby kit. But in February, what a lot of packs do is have the blue and gold dinner. The colors blue and gold represent the Cub Scout program. And for those who don't know, February is a very important month for scouting in general, because the Scout movement was actually created back in February, I'll say actually February 8th, 2010. So it's Cub Scouting's way, which was created back in 1930. Yeah, I'm a little history buff, don't mind me, to celebrate the Cub Scout program. And we do that with the blue and gold dinner. It's also a chance for the Cub Scouts and the adults to be recognized as well for any achievements that take place prior to that time. So how does Cub Scouting work? Well, as I said, it's a family-oriented program with you and your child. The family joins together, for lack of better terms. As I said, the Den is a small group of boys or girls in the same age level that meet weekly. And the Den is part of what is called a Cub Scout pack, which means the pack can have different dens. There might be one Weebles den, there could be a couple bear dens, and so forth. The Cub Scout pack meets monthly, and when these meetings take place, it's totally up to the leadership of the unit. About the pack, well, the way how I kind of explain how any Scout unit operates is that equivalent to, say, a business or even a condo association. I used to live in a condo. I actually used to be the condo association chairman. So I kind of use that as an analogy. The PAC committee kind of oversees the unit, just like how and I'll pick on this, in terms of Young Israel, the board of directors, the board of trustees kind of work the same way how the PAC committee works. The PAC committee has a chairman. Well, the temple has a president. That's Michael. I'm trying to think of Michael's last name, Rabbi. Please help me on this one.
Gerber.
Thank you. Okay, so it's Michael's responsibility to oversee really the financial aspect of the temple, as long as some operational needs as well. In it, besides the chairman, we have a treasurer. We have a charter organization representative, which means that the rabbi and or Michael has asked somebody to be a representative to the PAC that represents Young Israel. And obviously the committee also includes the parents as well. And as I said, Young Israel is going to be the charter organization. And here is what a PAC organizational chart looks like. So we have the charter organization, Young Israel. We'll have the charter organization rep and the committee. The PAC committee is also responsible for electing the leadership of the unit. And one of the most important positions is the Cub Master. The Cub Master, like I'll say the president of a corporation or an office administrator, handles the daily operations. They kind of oversee how things are going. And like a business, there's say vice presidents. Well, the Cub Master has their help as well, with an assistant Cub Master and a den leader for each den. And then the den leader has an assistant as well. You have to understand with Cub Scouting, it's not, even though, yes, we have titles here and positions, it's not specifically one person doing everything. That's not the case. It is a family organized program where everybody's going to be working together to help the youth. So how do you get involved? Be active with the PAC committee or taking on one of these positions. And I know a lot of people think, oh my God, excuse me, another position I got to take. I don't know what to do. That's not a problem, because that's where I come into play. Because for all these positions that are listed, everybody's going to need to get trained with. And besides wearing the hat of a unit commissioner, I'm also on the council's training committee. So I'm going to help out with that as well. Even though there are currently 2 troops and 1 PAC here in Sharon, we are not alone. This is what the Mayflower Council looks like. It consists of 62 towns, and I'm going to start all the way up here in Stowe. And this is the way how I kind of describe how big Mayflower Council is. We start up in Stowe, Manor, working our way down 495 to somewhere around here. And then we take a little turn on Route 9, going to hit Framingham, Natick, Wellesley, Newton. If we go back on 495, we keep going down to Holliston and Medway, Milford. Get onto 95 a little bit, coming to Walpole and Sharon. Keep going down, say to 393, and working our way all the way down to Plymouth. So we are a very big council. The council is divided into 5 districts. Up north, we have Post Road. Out in the boroughs, I'll call it, is Headwater Council. We have Sachem District, and then we have Cranberry Harbor. Our district, which is right here, is called Metacomet. Metacomet District consists of about 15 different towns. With one of the things that is so unique to scouting is that for every level in scouting, from a unit level to a district level to a council level and the national level, we have what is called the key 3. And in the unit level, it is the committee chairman, the Cub Master, and the charter organization representative. For Metacomet District, we have Dave Darian, who's the district chairman, Rob as the district commissioner, and Kat Nussmauer, who was our district executive. Out of the 3 people that are on the screen, only Kat, and now who I don't know who's going to be taking her place, they are the professional staff members. They are the only ones that are paid. Dave, Rob, myself, Bob, we're all volunteers. So that's one of the things you have to understand. The professional is there to help support us. The adults, what we do is we help support the program. You have to remember, scouting is a youth-led activity. We as adults are there to help support the program. And if we don't know the answers, we look towards the professional staff member for help and for suggestions. Okay, now the why and what other potential questions you might have. Excuse me for 1 second. The why in Jewish scouting for parents, just for curiosity. That email that I sent out earlier during the week, I don't know if anyone had a chance to look at those 2 videos that I sent, that I shared with you from the National Jewish Committee on Scouting and from Bruce Chedikoff. But one of the things that Bruce said, Bruce, by the way, for those who didn't see the video, is the national chairman of the National Jewish Committee on Scouting. And in his message, he said that a lot of the values that scouting has also represent Judaism as well. So we kind of go hand in hand with everything. And one of the nice things about scouting is that one of the biggest things that I've taken from scouting is that a scout is reverent. That is the 12th point of the scout law. And with that, and I'm going to kind of paraphrase at this point, that a scout is open-minded to God and respects everybody's beliefs and customs. But I'll take it one step further, and that is to learn about the other different religions and customs out there. So Judaism and scouting have gone hand in hand for a very long time. Not to get off track, but just to kind of help reinforce that. Down in New Jersey, there was a scout reservation called Schiff Scout Reservation. It was named after Mordecai Schiff, who was very influential in Jewish scouting back in the early days of scouting. Now, why Jewish scouting for youth? I know a lot of your children are going to religious schools. Hey, that's great. We're just going to try to also bring in scouting into the picture as well. And as you can see here, we have a bunch of both Boy Scouts and Cub Scouts taking participation in some Jewish activities. They have the opportunities to earn various religious awards based on their age, from the Ner Tamid to Etz Chaim to the Aleph Award. And for adults, yes, there's even a Jewish religious award for us. It's called the Shofar Award. One of the fondest memories I've had from a Jewish scouting perspective, and I was actually looking for them before we started today, is when I was a member of the medical staff of at the 2001 and 2005 National National Scout Jamboree. Like I said, I'm a paramedic, and I was there working those 2 events. And in my subcamp, we had the contingent for the National Jewish Committee, and where we did various activities, including making yarmulkes. And I tell you, when I go to services, especially on the high holy days, I wear those yarmulkes all the time. And I'll tell you, I get a lot of compliments on those yarmulkes, and it brings out some interesting topics and conversations. Why Jewish scouting for the organizations? It's going to help the temple in bringing families together. They teach Judaism or reinforce the Judaism principles as well. The love of the outdoors, making friends, and learning new skills. Is scouting safe? Yes, it is. There's a lot of activities that scouting, yes, can be a little bit on the dangerous side, but we do take safety in all the time, or we think about it all the time. But to kind of paraphrase one of my colleagues up in Framingham that says with me, who works with me all the time, adults, parents, you are entrusting us as adults, with the safety and the well-being of your child. And I don't want to go off on a tangent on this, because for various reasons, which are kind of obvious, but scouting, as I said, is a youth-led organization with adults supporting the program. But we take the safety and the well-being of the child very seriously. With that, every adult and more so with the adults, but also youth, that registers with as a scout unit has to take a program called Youth Protection Training. What YPT states is that there has to be too deep leadership. No one-on-one contact with a child. Okay, if it's say a child and the parent, the guardian, that's one thing. But you can't have, say, two children and one adult in a room together. You can't have that. That's where we're saying too deep leadership is necessary. Even though we're talking about a lines den for right now, let's say there are now Weeblos where they're able to go camping. That's great. We need to have separate accommodations for youth and adults. There's no hazing, there's no bullying, and we respect the privacy of the youth. Excuse me. And we work on the buddy system. No one, no child, no adult is left alone. I can tell you right now, and my apologies for the way how this is going to come out, but I just wanted to try to emphasize how important this is. The organization, we have no tolerance for any for anything like this. You know, for any problems, we take youth protection training very seriously. To give you an example, about 2004, I actually had the position that Rob has up in the Natick Framingham area. It was a weekend. We had a camp out event for the whole district. There was a assistant scoutmaster who was doing his own version of WWF wrestling. I kind of looked at the whole situation. I'm like, okay, this is not good. Went up to the gentleman. Now, I don't know who the gentleman was at that point. I introduced myself to him and said, no, you can't do something like this, as he's doing WWF wrestling with the other scouts. So I introduced myself to him. I explained the situation, did a little education with him, a little retraining. Things were great. 5 minutes later, he did the exact same thing again. Brought it to the attention of the professional staff member that was there. And that adult leader was removed not only from that event, he was removed from scouting entirely. And because he was the second deep leadership person there, I stayed with that unit until the scoutmaster was able to get another adult leader there. But what I'm trying to say is this is how serious the Boy Scouts of America takes when it comes down to youth protection training. So I'm going to kind of move off on this because, like I said, unfortunately, I could go on a tangent, but I don't want to. I don't want to take away from it. But again, I'm just trying to reinforce the fact that scouting is safe.
Thank you for addressing that. That's really important. So thank you for hitting it up ahead of time. I was certain it was going to come up in questions anyways, so glad you did it now.
No, and I'm glad. And so now, not to compare apples to oranges, the one of the troops and packs that are here in town, they're affiliated with one of the churches. They, the church and the archdiocese has their own version of youth protection training, which they must go through as well. So training like this is or has been around for a long time. YPT has been out there for over 20 years. So again, we do take this very seriously.
And Dave, if I might add as well.
Please, Rob.
So,
Yes.
So any of the adult leaders that get involved with the scouting, you know, as Dave said, when you pull in another adult, that adult is not just, you know, any of your adults from your group. It will be those that have undergone the YPT training, you know, so that they are aware of what to look for and what is permissible and what is not. But also as adult leaders, we also undergo criminal background checks. So in that way, you know, we are trying as hard as we can to make sure that any of the adults that are facing your children, you know, don't have anything behind them that would be disturbing to either you or to us. So again, you know, you've probably seen all of the things in the newspaper about what the scouts are going through right now. And that was based on, decades before now, when this wasn't taken as seriously. And as Davis says, we take this very seriously nowadays. So we make it as safe as we can with you, with the other adults that are part of the program, and even outwards into the larger organization.
Dave, one other thing. Excuse me, excuse me, youth protection training is not one and done. It's been done, what, every other year or every year? I know it was every other year for a while.
It's every 2 years now.
Every two.
So Steve, to put in terms which you can understand, National is saying every 2 years. Old Colony at the time
Right.
was looking to do every year, but with the merger of Old Colony and Knox Trail, we've gone back to every 2 years. Now, with that in mind, when the pack starts up again, let's say in September, where everybody needs to re-register, with the registration fee, you need to show some documentation that the adult leader has taken YPT. And now I'm flipping onto my training committee hat. We get the reports all the time of when adults have done it and when we don't, or when they have not received it. So then when I get the report as the unit commissioner, I pass that information onto my units and tell the unit leadership, hey, adult leader, no, ABC has not done it. If they do not get it done by X time, they are no longer registered with the organization and they are no longer able to participate with the scouting program. So there's checks and balances to this. I know that, as my daughter would say, sometimes happens. Okay, look, we know things can happen by accident. I remember, and I'm dating myself, back in the late 90s, just when YPT was just starting to come out, I was working on the aquatic staff at one of my camps. And my intent was to work with a scout one-on-one on a merit badge. And because it was hot, we went into a tent. The aquatics director saw what was going on. He says, no, and he says, Dave, no, you need to be outside. And I was like, whoops, okay, that was my mistake. I completely forgot, or I didn't realize it. So there was nothing malicious, no intent. It was just, oops, I made a mistake. Okay, fine. I corrected the situation and moved on. And we understand that. We know things are going to happen, but we're just more aware of it nowadays. Moving on, again, is scouting safe, especially now with COVID going on? Yes. A lot of units basically put scouting on hold for almost a year, or initially they did because of COVID. However, in the past, I don't know how many months, scouting has continued, not only here in Sharon, not only in the district, the council, but worldwide. We have become we have improvised in the way how things are going on. The troop, actually the girl troop, Troop 164 here in town, has done activities where they've met but have kept socially distanced. And yes, a lot of units are meeting via through Zoom and social media as well. Every week, there's a newsletter that the council sends out, and usually almost every week or every other week, there is a COVID-19 update. And that update reflects on what the current recommendations are coming from the state, the CDC, and everybody else out there. But on the screen, I just wanted to show you with what one unit in Plymouth was doing and how they were being involved in making masks and doing bizarre decorations and so forth. But again, just to show you that scouting is still alive and taking place during a pandemic. Yesterday morning, I was on another conference call, and we had one of our guest speakers was from the national level. He says, yeah, our high venture locations, they're planning on opening up this summer. The summer camps that our council has guess what? They're going to be opening up, ready to go this summer as well. So don't think COVID-19 has put scouting on hold. It hasn't. So what are the next steps? Well, we need to find adults to help us make this going. And my wife was asking me early this morning, no, how do you think it's going to go? And say, you know what? We got 25 families. That's great. 25 families that were interested. But to be perfectly honest, perfectly blunt, all we need is just 5 families. And now keep in mind, I'm saying families. It's youth and adults to help us get this off the ground. But again, I don't want whoever helps us out to be feeling like they're overwhelmed, that they're going to be left alone. They're not. That's why I'm still here. I'm going to be walking through everybody through the process, for no pun intended, hand in hand in doing this. We would need application forms from adults and from the youth, and also for youth protection training to be done from the adults. Training, 90% of the training that the adults will need to go through is online, and it takes about, depending on which one you're looking and told, maybe just a few hours to do. And you don't need to do it all at once. You could do what I'm doing right now. No offense. Cup of coffee in one hand, mouse in the other hand. And you can do it at your own convenience, your own leisure. And then start planning the program. And there's resources for planning the program. The Boy Scouts have put together a year-round program that is very flexible to meet the needs of the units. One of the other resources, and I'm looking at Rob, I'm wondering if I'm probably sure you're wondering when, Dave, are you going to mention it? I'm going to mention it right now, is that every Tuesday, the first Tuesday of every month, we have what is known as the Roundtable. What the Roundtable is a district-led event coordinated by Dave Darian, Rob, and our Roundtable leadership, where we initially start off with all the adults gathered, well, in one room per se. And then we split up between Boy Scouts and Cub Scouts. And we talk about various different programs, upcoming events, but it's also a way for adults to meet other adults in other units, other towns, because whatever concerns, problems that might come up, guess what? They probably came up at an earlier time with somebody else that they can help you out. So again, you're not alone with this. So the roundtables are also a nice way to meet everybody, but also to learn about other things that are going on in the council and the district. Rob, I didn't know if you want to say anything else about the roundtable at this point or not.
Yeah, so it is a wonderful resource. You don't have to be a Cub master. You don't have to be a den leader. You can just show up. And I really encourage like new adults that are interested in scouting to participate in it, because as Dave said, it's a great place to kind of hear about best practices. We talk about things that might be difficult for us now. Like very early on in the lockdown with COVID, the Cub programs, a lot of the leaders like, well, what are we going to do? Our church or synagogue won't let us meet because we don't have a big enough area. But are there other places that we can consider, or what can we do safely, or how are we doing these? My own unit, for almost the past year now, has been meeting outside, weather permitting, and that's worked out. Sometimes it's very, very cold out, but for the scouts, that's part of their training is, how to dress appropriately for the weather. We live in New England, so it's part of our life. For the Cub Scouts, the challenges were, how do we do a safe Pinewood Derby? Normally all the kids are crowded around a track, but this year a lot of it was virtual, where the cars came and were run, but the kids tuned into a live stream for that. So, again, you are not alone. After about 100 and more years of scouting, a lot of resources are online, both for training. There are folks like Dave that are out there as part of our training committee that make sure that you feel comfortable in the role that you're doing, and you're also having fun with the kids in helping them explore, build new skills, gain confidence in who they are. And I think, Cub Scouts is great because you can start to see not only your child, but the other kids that you work with really grow into responsible adults. And now as somebody who started with my son and now he's almost done with his Eagle Scout project, just how much he's grown and the friendships that he's made with the other kids that have been involved in the units that he's been in. So, it is a great opportunity, not only for your child, but it's also a great opportunity for you to also get involved and perhaps someday get involved beyond your unit, maybe join us on the district or the council level, where you can then help, even more communities, if even more kids, have opportunities, especially during these times like COVID, where there's not a lot of things for kids to do other than sit at home and look at a screen. So we're trying to give them those alternatives to do things outside and be confident in all that life throws at them. I think we call it resiliency.
Excellent, thank you. So everybody has to ask the question, what are the costs? Okay, now I know these numbers look scary. These are numbers that National has sent out. $6 that goes to the National, then the council fee, and Boys Life. Boys Life is a wonderful magazine. I enjoyed reading it back when I was a Cub Scout. A lot of fun articles, cartoons, stories, just a wonderful resource for the boys and the girls to have. So with that, you're looking at total, based on what I have up here, 114. The way how I kind of look at this is kind of like your membership fees for the temple. The temple has an operational need. They need an operational fund for them to work with. Same thing with the PAC. Now, I'm going to compare apples to oranges again. So you have, say, the temple fee, your monthly, your annual dues. So do we have for scouting. Even though this is March, September comes around. I heard that the High Holy Days are early this year in September. Well, I don't know about Young Israel or wherever congregation you belong to, but I know most congregations have a separate fee for tickets for the High Holy Days. Well, when it comes down to something like this, the scouting, you might have your yearly fee, but they also might say, okay, we are also going to have a charge for, say, the Pinewood Derby or the Blue and Gold Dinner. It's the actual fees above what National is going to charge is determined by the committee, PAC committee. So there's really no clear-cut cost of what what's going to cost for a youth member. For an adult member, there's the National fee and the Boys Life. The Boys Life for the adults is optional, but there's one thing you have to understand. Part of that National fee. And also, there's also a $75 fee for the charter organization, and that is the insurance coverage with that. Because even though, let's say, you meet at Young Israel, something goes wrong, somebody gets hurt, okay, to the point there now gets involved with insurance coverage. Who's going to provide that coverage? Boy Scouts of America has their own insurance policies that's available for the units. So that coverage fee of $75 covers the BSA insurance coverage. Fundraisers. Well, another analogy I'm going to think of, so Boy Scouts has the Trail Ends popcorn. Think of it as their version of the Girl Scout cookie program. Okay, Girl Scouts of America has the Girl Scout cookies. Boy Scouts, we have our popcorn sales with Trails End popcorn. And I can tell you right now, Trails End popcorn, it's great. It really is. Comes in actually popped corn, or you can have a microwave, whatever. But they sell it. The unit makes a percentage of it, and it's a great fundraiser. But there's other fundraisers that you could do as well. Okay, Purim was last weekend. I don't know any of you. I made a mess out of my kitchen last weekend making hamantashen. I don't know how many I made, but you could do a hamantashen bake sale or anything specific that will work for you. But I'm just using these as an example. Uniforms. Well, I don't know if you can see, both Rob and I are wearing uniforms right now. But that's one of the nice things about scouting. It's a uniformed organization where we don't care what you look like, who you are, what anything. Everybody kind of wears the same uniform based on your role in scouting. So with the Cub Scouts, you can wear the blue shirt as this young scout is wearing. There's a hat, there's a neckerchief, and you wear it at scout events. Your den meetings, your pack meetings, and other activities that the unit leadership wants you to wear it at. Now you can get your uniforms either online, or you could go into Milton. There's a scout shop there. There's another one, and I can't remember the name of it. Starts with an N, in Norwood. Excuse me. That's there. There's another scout shop in Southborough as well. Camping activities. Now I'm getting ahead of myself on this one. And the reason why I'm saying I'm getting ahead of myself is because, and as I said to the rabbi and to Michael when we first talked about this, is that this pack has a lot of potential to grow. And even though we're starting off with lions, when we get into Webelos can go camping. So we have camping activities. Here's a sign for Camp Squanto, one of our camps down in Plymouth, where they can learn more camping skills and have some fun. Okay, I think I forgot to take the slide out. That's all right. So as a wrap up, scouting is great for fun, friendship, and memories. And as the rabbi said, he's using skills, things that he learned when as a child. I do it all the time. Today's Sunday. When did I do this? I did this on Monday. Besides being a paramedic, I'm also a nurse as well. And I was with one of my patients. I had to change one of his dressings, and standing behind me was my wound care nurse. And I had to take 2 pieces of Curlex, basically gauze, and tie them together. Well, what knot did I use? The very first knot I learned as a scout, a square knot. And I made some comment about it. And the wound care nurse says, "You must be a scout." Says, "Well, yeah, I'm an Eagle Scout." And it was, again, one of the very first skills I learned as a scout. So again, great place, great opportunity for fun, leadership, and lasting memories that they will have for the rest of their life. Resources, well, as I sent in that email to you, some resources regarding the Cub Scout program and on Jewish scouting that are available for you. So now, I've been talking for about almost an hour, but now I'm going to turn it over to the parents. Does anybody have any questions? And let me see if I can stop sharing.
Yeah, Dave, I've got a question. I'll
Sure.
jump in here about.
I'm just trying to get off sharing right now.
Oh, I can help you with that.
Yeah, please do.
There we go.
Hi, everybody.
Okay. Question, if you could clarify about boys and girls. I'm a little confused myself. We're certainly open to having boys and girls. I know there are probably some advantages to separating them at different ages for certain, camaraderie. But if you could speak to that in terms of what other units, Cub Scout units do, and sort of advantages of each way.
So for those who are not aware, the scouting organization is a co-ed program, not just with the Cub Scouts, but we have what is known Scouts USA, meaning it was referred to the old, say, Boy Scouts before. From the Cub Scout perspective, we could do one of a couple things. Traditionally, officially, because scouting, Cub Scouting is a family organized program, we would have, say, a den separated, for boys and for girls. But you know what? The Cub Pack here in town, what do? They have their families, that have boys and girls. They have co-ed dens, which has worked well for them. It has helped increase their numbers as well, because lots of times it's a brother and sister that are joining at the same time. And why separate the families from one den to another den? Now, again, that's in the Cub Scout program. So this is 2021. I'm being optimistic. 4 years, 5 years down the road, when this Lions Den now has to go into a troop. So now we have Troop 18. All the girls that are with Pack 18 cannot join Troop 18. The reason for it is that Scouts USA is not a co-ed program. This is where we have to separate the girls and the boys. So we would have Troop 18 for the boys and Troop 36 for the girls. And that's actually what the units here in town did. Pack 95 that's here in town, they had a lot of girls in their Weebles then that wanted to continue, but they knew that they could not join Troop 95. So those girls, with the help of the leadership from Troop 95, helped create Troop 164. Now, I'm being hypothetical again and optimistic. Everybody hits the age of 14, and now keep in mind, I'm really reaching myself at this point. They all hit age 14, they are able to go into another program called the Venturing Program. And I don't want to get too involved in it, but basically that is another co-ed program where they allowed to integrate with one another. At this stage of the game, yes, we can have co-ed dens. But when we need to start creating troops, there we need to separate everybody. Now, that does not mean they can't do things together. Let's say they want to go on a hike out or a camp out, 2 separate units, but they are allowed to have joint activities on occasionally. So I don't know if that answers your question or not, Rabbi.
Yeah, it does. I think for now we'd probably start the Cub Den in a co-ed format,
Yeah,
but then with the potential of separating depending on numbers and interests.
Yeah, we could do a family, what's called a family, basically a family program, which we can do. And that's what Pack 95 does in town. And they've got a huge turnout and it has worked very well for them. Anybody else? Any other questions?
Hi.
Hi there.
Hi.
Kayla. How you
My name
doing?
is, yes. So we joined super late just now.
That's okay.
And I know of some other people who are interested, and it doesn't look like they're on here, but I'm sorry if you already spoke about this, but can you review the weekly time commitment?
So what it is that you're looking for the dens to meet weekly, every other week. It's really based on the flexibility of the adult leadership. And then the den or dens, depending on how many we have, get together once a month. That's the pack meeting. And again, when that occurs, when in the month, again, it depends on the flexibility, the availability of the adult leadership. So I don't know if that answers your question or not, but that's how it is.
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome. Anybody else?
Hi, Dave. Can I ask a quick question? This is Rebecca Cork. Thank you so much for your presentation. I appreciate it. So I grew up obviously doing Girl Scouts and my brothers both did Boy Scouts. Can you talk a little bit about what the program looks like now that it's combined, or would this troop be combined?
I mean, as to how we've incorporated, for lack of a better term, or how we've integrated girls into the program you're talking about?
Yeah.
Honestly, there really has not been much of a change. We're still continuing the same Boy Scout program that we've done since 1910. We've had girls involved in the venturing program for a long time. And there was always that desire or that need to also incorporate um, girls into the scouting program as well. What makes this time so exciting, not just 2021, but right now, which I am so excited about as an Eagle Scout, is that we are now celebrating the inaugural class of female Eagle Scouts in the organization. One of the hats I wear in scouting is a member of the National Eagle Scout Association for our council. And we plan a annual dinner in June down in Lake Pearl. And we are so excited that we're going to have a bunch of girl Eagle Scouts for us. But has the program changed? Has it been tweaked? Not really. If anything, to go back to what I was saying, and if you remember when I talked a little bit about the YPT, the youth protection training, well, we've kind of put more of an emphasis onto that now, to making sure. I'm about to open up my mouth. My apologies. Let's say a boyfriend and girlfriend are now in scouting. Well, they can't go share a tent together on a weekend camp out. That's obvious. But we're putting more of an awareness on that. But they're still learning how to go camping, how to tie knots, the good citizenship, outdoor activities, just like how the boys have been learning for a very long time. And also keep in mind, though, this is, Scouts USA. We're not trying to compete with the Girl Scout program. It's just two different organizations, two different philosophies, for lack of better terms. No, we're not, like I said, we're not competing with one or the other.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Anybody else? I'm just looking around. Nobody? Okay, so who's willing? I was gonna say, who's willing to help me start this puppy up, and who's willing to take on some positions to help me get this thing started? Then I know, no one's hands are going up. I know. So I know, Rob, you were about to say something.
Well, I would say, yeah, right along those lines, Dave. So, again, it seems daunting to put together a pack, but you seem to have a great group of people that are interested. And I will say is that you are not just thrown to the lions, bears, and wolves. There is a whole support system behind you to get you, what do you do on that first den meeting? Actually, they're much like for, if you are an educator or a teacher, there are whole lesson plans that carry out your entire year of, what you can do the first week, what you then concentrate on the second week, and there are charts and your kids get to cross off what they've done. So it's, I was in that position at one point myself. I was like, oh my God, what am I going to do? I'm a den leader. And thankfully people helped me understand that I can reach out to people, that there are resources that you can get online. And it becomes very easy. And the fun thing about it, as I mentioned earlier, is you get to see, the growth in your child and the other youth that are in your unit. And you get to see the pride that they have as they accomplish all of these different skills. And it's something that you do then take with you for the rest of your life. So what I would say is go online, check out what each of those roles and responsibilities are. See if that's something that interests you. If you're kind of good with numbers and organization, you might want to be the treasurer and think about ways that you can fundraise to build up your unit's finances. And again, one of the reasons why you do that fundraising is so that perhaps if you have families that might be struggling with those dues and things, you can offset those. And many of our units do that, is that they do their fundraising and they say, well, you know what, we're going to subsidize the fees for this year and we're going to cover that. Or if we do a trip to maybe see the paw socks, or go to Battleship Cove or the Science Museum when we were able to do those types of trips. It doesn't cost your family a lot because the PAC can step in and help subsidize that. So, yeah, I'd encourage you that if you're interested, dig in, and there are folks like myself and Dave and many others that can help you, get on the path and do really well.
Thank you. Whoops, I see Josh. Yeah.
Question. I know you said that it would start with a lion's den, but as someone whose one kid is younger than that, one kid is older than that, would it just be starting with lion's den and growing into the others, or would it be like tiger through tiger as well, or what? How would that? How does that work? If
I hear what you're saying. We're gonna start. Now I can speak. Thank you. We'll start off with lines, but the other thing is, though, as I said, is that there were 25 families that were interested in joining today, and there are 11 of us here. We'll see what other families are interested, and maybe they have children who are age appropriate to go into and create another den. We don't have to just have one particular den. We're going to see who's available. Who's interested, what the ages are, and plan accordingly. And we'll go from there. So unfortunately, that's all I can say at this point, but we'll definitely. And Rob, is that the newest one, by the way?
This is the 2021 version of it. I think we still have plenty of copies of it. So if Dave, if you don't have them, or you figure that folks would like them, I mean, we've put these out for the last 2 years. It really kind of goes through the whole scouting program in the Metacomet district, even down to where you can get the uniforms, and it has descriptions about everything. Dave, I can get you these and you can distribute them within Sharon. That's fine.
Yeah, I could get a handful of those, or even if I have to take a trip up to Milford, if I could get a handful of those, and then I could drop them off for you, Rabbi, to hand them out. Or if anyone is not familiar with Young Israel, I'll have my contact info. I'll be more than happy to get one to you. But yeah, Rob, you and I can talk offline and figure out how I can get those. That'd be great.
As a next step, I'm going to suggest that I'm going to create a WhatsApp group for parents. I have a list of about 15 parents or so who expressed interest, some of whom, as Kayla noted in the chat, weren't able to come this morning for various conflicts, and I'll have the recording for them as well. And through that chat, we can start talking about roles and responsibilities, and maybe a first meeting around my fire pit in the backyard to hand out those parent pamphlets and talk shop a bit more. So I want to be respectful of people's time, and I appreciate Dave and Rob, both of you presenting so much information so clearly. I feel a lot more informed now, and looking forward to taking some next steps to see this come to fruition.
Yeah, one of the things, and one of the things that I want everybody to understand, and I think both Rob and Rabbi, you know how eager I am to get this off the ground, but I wanted to take baby steps in getting this off the ground because I want to make sure it's done correctly. And I know it has a lot of potential growth in so many different ways, but I also want it to be beneficial for the youth and for the adults as well. So if this is March, if we don't get this thing up and running until say June, July, whatever, I don't care. As long as I know we're going to make it work, so be it. So this is just the first time we're going to be meeting, and hopefully it won't be the last. As I said, everybody has my email address. I think I even threw my cell phone number in there. If you have any questions, problems, please reach out to me. I'm just an email or a phone call away. All right. So before we go, any other questions, comments, concerns, confusions? Going once, twice.
Dave, I'll say one thing.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Steve.
As a former den leader, assistant scoutmaster, assistant scoutmaster, and 20-year scoutmaster, I can really say that we get as much out of the scouting program as the kids do. And you're right, it lives with you forever. The things you learn, always come back to play.
I tell you, some of the fondest memories I had as a child, or best times I had with my dad, it was when we were doing things together as scouting activities. And I'm 52 years old. Unfortunately, he has passed, but they were some of the best memories I've had for a long time. And hopefully we can help everybody out, kind of also generate memories like that as well. Rabbi, again, I want to thank you for hosting, not only being the charter organization, but also hosting today as well. And that's really all I have. And thank you again for everybody for showing up. Appreciate it.
Thank you, everyone.
Okay, looking forward. Have a wonderful rest of the weekend. Take good care.
Take care, everybody. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody.